Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is episode 263, George and I's first episode of 2017. We're going to bring you up on our latest Christmas gifts, the weather in Florida, and all the news you need to know. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. Today's January 17, 2017.
So, where have you guys been? Where are you? Hello, email to Kevin and George. You forgot to do this week's show. No, we really didn't forget. We are actually two very busy people. I run a small IT company. I'm a chauffeur for my children. I have to cook dinner for my wife. I'm a busy guy, and I run Anglican TV. George is a full-time rector for a church. What, you're about 200 people now?
Yeah, well, actually, no. That's what we, Kevin. Why pick on me like that?
This is a hot topic, huh?
Our ASA was 197 for
George,
2016.
200 is you gotta get up there, son.
I mean, that's what I was shooting for. That's what I was bragging about. We're going to hit 200. We've gone from 140 to 197 in 2 years.
Yep.
And if I got to 201, I'd get a $5,000 bump on my salary.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
It's not that I'm vulgar or anything.
No,
no. I mean, I was really hoping to see 200 in 2016, but
2,000 be cool too. Actually, 150, 120, 150, and 200 are speed bumps. I mean, you get close to it, and you're going to sit there for 6 months or a year.
We've certainly hit the speed bump. And that everything is going great. Every metric you could possibly think of is fantastic. And so we've got 24 people who are complaining. Why? Because, well, we didn't expect this when we hired you. We wanted you to be a chaplain to us old folks.
Sure.
And, we talk about new members, but that means more people like us. and all these the blind, the lame, the crippled, the halt, people like that, Democrats, you just don't want those people in our church. So, we're going through the growing pains of moving from a pastoral size to the corporate size. And 200, all the experts say, is that major bump, and we hit it.
Yeah.
So we'll probably plateau for this spring, but I'm confident by this summer we'll be taking off again.
Now, do you have what we call snowbirds? I know you're in Florida. I don't know how touristy you are in your location.
Yes, we do. We have, 200 is the average for the year, which means we're at 300 February, March, April, May, 125 June, July, and August.
Okay. I just want to know how that worked.
But, no, I mean, we do get seasonal bumps and
snowbird bumps, yes. All right, so I alluded to presents. I think we, as professional journalists, need to tell people what we get for Christmas, because mine is rather odd. I'm sure you got something decent, George. What'd you get?
I got the best toy a man could ever have, Kevin.
Ginsu knives.
No. A high-pressure steam washer.
There's application for that somewhere.
Kevin, this you take this. You've got this big tank, and the pressure builds up, and you've got this long wand or the jet gun, and you go and you can blast your engine, cleans it perfectly. Then all the oil and grime falls in the driveway, and then you can blast your driveway. You want to clean the mold off the sidings of your house. It's Florida, Kevin. Houses turn green, not because they're painted, but because of mold. I mean, man, the uses that a high pressure steam cleaner can bring you, and the pleasure and the joy.
Apparently it is a toy you get to play with. I'm an early adopter, and if there's a piece of technology out there, I probably already own it, and I've discovered over the last 6 or 7 years I'm difficult to buy for. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you're a IT high tech entrepreneur, And I'm still in the steam age.
You're still the steam age, yes. Mr. Steam Engine versus Mr. Binary. So I'm hard to buy for, and it's come to a head in the last 3 years. I now have a liquor cabinet because I drink. No, I don't drink very often. Do I drink mixed drinks? No. I'll have a beer and a brat when there's a Green Bay Packer or a Viking game on TV. That's about the limit to my alcohol consumption. However, it is the default Christmas gift that my daughters and son have been giving me because I am difficult to buy for. I opened a Irish Bailey's whiskey thing.
Explain to me how your 16-year-old son is buying you liquor. How does that
I'm
work?
sure he's using my oldest daughter as a proxy. I got a huge thing of Maker's Mark. It's got a wax thing. I got to figure out. I got to spend an hour trying to figure out how to open that up. But I now have a liquor cabinet to appease my children that Dad enjoys the gifts that they buy. So that's my Christmas, is an alcoholic Christmas. I got some cards and stuff too. So
Kevin, I think though we live 1,200 miles apart, you bring the alcohol, I bring the jet steamer, and the two of us in the frozen north would have a lot of fun.
That's a redneck Christmas right there. Hold my drink. I'm using the steamer. Well, George, let's get on to the news. We just wasted 6 minutes of our viewers' time. It's hard to discuss what topic. We sat here and what do you want to talk about? This is actually not the first time we sat to record. Last time we sat to record, we could not come up with a decent topic. This time we kind of have corruption in the church, and it's more of a generic topic because we can pretty much point to any province and say, well, they're corrupt and they're corrupt too. But we wanted to point out a couple because it has ties back to Lambeth Palace and kind of the hierarchy of our church, directly and indirectly. George, let's talk a little bit about Tanzania, what's been happening lately.
Oh, it's an exciting time in Tanzania. This could be a great TV show, and I need to write the script for it. The Bishop of Dar es Salaam, Valentino Mokiwa, he was one of the original GAFCON archbishops.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, he lost re-election to a fellow named Jacob Chimiladaya. And Jacob won that election because he was able to buy votes using money from the United States. In fact, we talked to people who were really annoyed because they were not paid as much as other diocesan delegations were to vote for Jacob. So when we say there's corruption in the elections of the archbishops of Tanzania, we know of what we speak.
We've talked to the people. We saw the paper, a nice check paper trail. It's ironic that the elections could change so easily, and it's going kind of a back and forth thing. It's not that one archbishop is elected for good down there, George.
No, and because they have set terms of 5 years, and Mokiwa wanted a second one. Well, Jacob, who represents the Evangelical Party, Mokiwa represents the Anglo-Catholics, and there's a third group, which is tribal, based on the Wagogo tribe, who come from the Dodoma area in central Tanganyika. And how those three blocks all stack up depends who's elected, and how the money is distributed, and so on and so forth. Well, we have a new year, and we have the primates meeting in London earlier in 2016. Jacob goes as a friend of the Episcopal Church. He leaves the newest GAFCON primate. He switched sides during the primates meeting. And
okay, you said switch sides. From what side to what side?
From pro-Episcopal Church, who is basically footing the bill for his provincial office and all that good stuff, pro-Episcopal Church to pro-GAFCON. Jacob switched sides. Well, Mokiwa, who had been the leader of the GAFCON opposition in Tanzania, when Jacob switched, Mokiwa switched, and he became pro-Episcopal Church. Well, the fighting started getting nasty.
Yeah.
And one of Mokiwa's priests filed a formal complaint of corruption against Mokiwa, saying he was stealing. And a provincial investigation found that, yes, he had been stealing from the diocese, which was not a big surprise, because he's always had a sort of a reputation as not being the cleanest whistle out there? Well, the Archbishop has a meeting with the House of Bishops, and the House of Bishops say, okay, we have to sit on Mokiwa. He's been caught with his hand in the till. You need to punish him. And Jacob decides, I'm not only going to punish him, I'm going to kick him out of the ministry.
We're going to depose him.
We're going to depose him.
Yeah.
And he uses this law, first passed in 2005 when they redid their constitution, and he deposes Mokiwa for refusing to accept his advice that he retire. Well, Mokiwa fights back. He hires lawyers. It sounds like the Episcopal Church does it.
This is really sounding like Episcopal
He's pushing
Church.
back. And so now Mokiwa and Jacob Chimoladiah are locked in a legal battle, and all the other bishops of Tanzania are overjoyed. Do you know why they're overjoyed?
It's going to take out the two top contenders.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
The two contenders for re-election as Archbishop in 2018 will have so bloodied themselves by the time they reach the election. It's open field for whoever's standing in the wings, waiting for the fighters to pass out from loss of blood.
And this is how we can talk about general corruption in the church. We always talk about India and other places.
We do need to interrupt because they elected a brand new primate, Thomas Uman.
Yes,
and he's clean. His predecessors were not. This guy's a reformer. He's clean. Good news out of India.
Well, when I asked you how do we know he's clean, you set the bar pretty high. You said, well, he's not currently in jail, under indictment. I mean,
that's true.
The India standard's a little different.
Yes, he's not under criminal investigation for fraud, as his predecessor was, Bishop Davaya Singadam of Madras, or Chennai as the Indians now call it, was under investigation for sexual harassment and for theft. And the Indian equivalent of the Securities and Exchange Commission, they forcibly removed the trustees, of which he is the chairman of the board of trustees of the Church of South India, who oversee the thousands of properties owned by the church, saying that they are engaged in theft and self-dealing, and these guys are milking the property of the Indian church for their own benefit.
Kevin, you mentioned that this kind of leads up to the top of the church. And we're not really hierarchical, but this does lead up to Lambeth and Canterbury and all that, because I've noticed a trend over the last 2.5-3 months, a divide and conquer trend that I'm seeing from at least Lambeth news sources and some of the bishops and archbishops and what they've been doing to be sure that whatever message gets out is only their message, George. How am I seeing this?
Well, corruption is financial, it's political, it's also emotional and theological. And Lambeth Palace will go out and give these wonderful statements condemning corruption in Nigeria. But then they'll go and turn around and appoint the former primate of South India, who is as dirty as they come, allegedly, to the primate's task force. In other words, the
primate's task force in charge of overseeing how to respond to the Episcopal Church and Canada after they started introducing same-sex marriage rights.
Yeah, I mean, if you want somebody, basically the Episcopal Church is being accused of a lack of theological integrity. Mm-hmm. Who better than someone under criminal investigation by the police to investigate and to help the Episcopal Church come out of its hole? Well, another example, and this really annoyed the people at Lambeth Palace recently when we raised this in a news article in Anglican Inc. Mm-hmm. The ACC, Josiah Daiwu Farone, loves to release these stories and interviews, and he has been just dumping on GAFCON, calling it unchristian, divisive, and he, in an interview with Irish, the Church of Ireland magazine, I forget its official title, called the archbishops in Nigeria and in Uganda despotic and bullies and unchristian, and that they were destroying the church and that they were only motivated by American money. Now, this is a guy Do you remember the Kenya forgery story that we broke?
Sure.
Well, for those who don't remember, the Archbishop Eliud Wabukula, who is clean, by the way, in fact, he's been appointed head of Kenya's National Anti-Corruption. Eliud is and has been always one of the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
He said, no, we're not going to the ACC meeting in Lusaka. Then he went up country. Now, the Episcopal representative from Kenya was the Bishop of Nairobi, and he really wanted to go. And he was also running to be replacement Archbishop. And he forged a letter that he gave to the Kenyan church and to the other members of the delegation saying, oh, look, Archbishop Wabukula has changed his mind. Here's this letter that he has sent me with his signature electronically inserted. And so everybody says, oh, I guess the Archbishop changed his mind. Wabukula comes back and he finds out about the fraud and he calls out the Bishop of Nairobi. We alert the world. We spoke on the phone with him and we asked the ACC, Josiah Wadaiwu-Farone, what he thinks. And Josiah Wadaiwu-Farone's response was that we are evil. We are evil. And so guess who's on the ACC Standing Committee? The Bishop of Nairobi.
Oh, what a good promotion for him.
In other words, it's to their advantage, the Lambeth Palace junta, or power structure, to have quiescent Africans and Indians over whom they have a degree of power because of their either corruption, fiscal corruption, or political corruption, or because they rely upon handouts from the West. It's good to have those people in your pocket.
It really is.
And Lambeth Palace does not like to have independent, dark-skinned people who speak their mind.
They don't like independent white-skinned people from America giving news either. Skin color's not the predominant problem they're having. It's people holding them accountable. It's going to be... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, look at the recent appointment of a suffragan Bishop of Woolwich in London. Mm-hmm. Here you have a Nigerian evangelical who went to Oak Hill. This guy's the goods. He's a conservative evangelical. Now, has hell frozen over? In other words, has something so improbable happened that the Church of England has finally decided to get right with the world and right with God? No. This guy's only appointed after the GAFCON primates, who happen to be Africans, evangelicals, start saying, we're going to have to go to England and exercise alternative episcopal oversight. Mm-hmm. So now what does Lambeth Palace say? You don't need to do that. Look, we have one of our own. Divide and conquer.
Sure, divide and conquer. Stopgap measures. We got to do something to stop the conservatives from taking over our church. We'll just appease them, step by step. Now, for GAFCON, I would, certainly recommend that they distance themselves from the corruption that occurs once in a while, or here and there in the church. It would certainly be beneficial. I have the same recommendation for Lambeth. I would also, for the sake of the church, for the sake of our witness, distance ourselves from the global corruption within it. George, we've hit, what is that? Oh, I'm getting old. All right, we've hit 18 minutes. It's time to close out this episode. Anything you want to say before we go?
I could go on for hours about.
We could probably do a 4-hour episode with
Did
each
I tell you about the
nation.
guys about the Bishop of Umzimvubu who burned down his cathedral and his offices when they were going to send in someone to do an audit?
Yeah.
Did I tell you about? I could go on and on and on.
We could go on, but it's a new year. Our second episode, I hope, is not about corruption. We'll see, though. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger, and we are not paid for our opinions. And this is episode 263 of Anglican Unscripted.
We should do advertising. I'm wearing my Reebok shirt. You think they would pay?